What's up? We can always do a what?
We can always just jump over and do a little quick recap on Instagram. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
So glad that you're joining us.
Marla, where are you in the world?
I'm in West Hampton, ensconced by my social distancing solo with an entity named JoJo at my friend's house by myself.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was good to get out of the city. And apparently all these freaks were wearing, partying like it was Mardi Gras on 2nd Avenue over the weekend, not wearing masks. But let's not waste time on that because you know how I feel about that.
I believe I do. I believe you've shared just a few opinions over.
Yeah. But
all right, question of the week.
What are you, a Jen or a Judy?
Yep. So who are you this week?
Well, first of all, let's just let everybody know that we are going and we're doing a deep dive into Dead to Me because we love Christina Applegate. We love Linda Cardinelli and the writing of Liz Feldman. Meet. And so we're paralleling our friendship because it's a new friendship, but like multi-layered, really quick, just like Jen and Judy. So I am totally Jen. What about you?
I was a Jen up until last night, and then I shifted into a Judy.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who haven't seen the show, or for people who have, let's, in our opinion, define these women. So when you say you're a Jen, what does that mean?
Well, first of all, she's from Brooklyn, which is part of the tri-state area. I'm from Long Island. And her reaction is like bang, like anger and rage, which is unresolved, which I have spent that's my life's work, is resolving my anger and my rage. Because, it just sets people off. Like, I'm in trouble with the board in my building for having an emotional support dog. And I fucking mouthed off to a lady. So I'm her. She meditates, listening to music in her car, and nothing makes me happier.
Well, listening to hardcore rock music.
But I'm hardcore disco, R&B, 90s house music.
I love how you describe disco as hardcore. I didn't realize there was hardcore disco.
Well, when the house music and the MDR or,
EDM.
the Molly, yeah. That stuff, I never did it. I would just smoke. Oh, and she smokes weed and loves to smoke, and she swears, and she's unapologetic.
Yes.
And I apologize too much. So that's a little bit of Judy. What about you?
That's a little bit of Judy. Yeah, I would agree that all of those things are Jen. And I think Jen's anger is misunderstood, especially as things unfold. So, I agree that her anger takes over, but I also think it's justified in so many ways. And the people around her are uncomfortable with how comfortable she is expressing it.
Right. But that's a metaphor for the world. God forbid you show vulnerability, which is perceived as weakness. You show that you're raging, and it just finding the words to be like, I'm pissed and this is why. People are like, cover it up, make nice.
Right.
So without plot spoiling, we just give like in kind of a situation about, they meet in a group and Judy shares something and they can make a connection. So I think it really mirrors how you and we met. What do you think?
Yes, there were a lot of parallels in how they met. Oh, and by the way, Judy is just more of the more like optimistic type, a bit Pollyanna, like she fronts as a Pollyanna. She fronts as like, all's well, but she's over there shoving it down. So I love these characters. The way that they met, something that Judy does that I did immediately was she handed her card to Jen and was like, hey, or no, Jen handed her card to Judy It was like,
Yes.
I'm in real estate. So like, if you ever want to do, if you ever want to sell your house or whatever. And I handed you my card
Yeah,
after
after you got
watching
in
you
my
ignore me.
face. You got in my face. I had this live event going. Jen was presenting. I was sitting in the back. I let the organizer know I have this live TV event happening, but I'm listening. And you came over and you were like, "Well, it's so important," and you weren't listening to me. And I was like, I can split my brain, and I heard everything you said. Boom, 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 and then you said,
I don't know.
you don't
What do you,
remember? You were
no.
like, okay, blah, 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 blah. Here's my card. You want to go grab a drink? And I was
Yes.
like, okay. Like
Yes.
Jen from the show.
Like Jen. We were both Jen the first time we met. I was like, excuse me, I
Yes.
need your attention. Here's my card. Pull your shit together. And you were like, how about my shit is together? Okay.
Yeah.
I heard everything, but yes, let's go drink.
Don't shit on my shine. That was an expression I use to describe my relationship with my father. And you said it. And that's when I perked up and I was like, what's this bitch talking about?
Right. So when Marla heard me say something that she says, then you perked up.
It's all about.
That's another thing we have in common.
Yes.
Okay, so I was very direct with you. I walked over, I gave you my card, and then we went out and we had an amazing time. It was an instant connection.
Right.
Which is okay, so these characters had an instant connection, but it was based on a lie, right?
Based on a lie. It
That
was
Judy
based on a
felt.
lie. Judy fabricated a story. She still was in grief, so that was
Yes.
authentic, but she fabricated why she was in grief, which is kind of weird. And I don't know why. I mean, I think what her original grief, what caused her to have grief, was incredibly legitimate. And I
Right.
don't know why she flipped and shared, somebody what she shared.
Do you think it's a guilty conscience? Since we're watching this knowing where it goes, so it's kind of interesting to be going back and watching it now, knowing where these characters go. But
Mm-hmm.
do you think it's a guilty conscience thing? Why she didn't let herself grieve in honesty?
I just, I think, I think there was a lot of shame and her feeling broken and her feeling, you know, it's almost like I think somebody that cuts themselves, it's like they're feeling pain and then they want to relieve themselves and they don't
Mm-hmm.
really say, oh, it's because A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just, I think maybe it was too painful for her to acknowledge she had been through a horrible situation 5 times and just said, oh, yeah, blah, blah, died. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's what I think. What about you?
Um, I think it's two women that have a hard time trusting. And so they're both navigating this new connection that seems to have a lot of charge to it, whether it's a good charge or a bad charge. I don't think either of them know, especially Jen. But there's, I think both of them have a hard time opening up specifically to women and to women that you want to connect with. I
Right.
resonate with that a lot. Like when I meet someone that I'm like, "Oh my god, I want to hang out. I want us to be friends." With you, I was like, "Boom, this is happening."
I just
And I'm
want you to know you're not the only one. Okay, go on.
you're so in demand.
I am.
But I was not always like that. And I'm still not always like that if I'm having an insecure moment or if I feel like there's a crowd of women they already know each other and I walk into the room or whatever and I kind of stand back. I don't naturally always feel like people want me around.
Well, you have a presence that can be intimidating to a lot of women. But then the flip side of that is like we've talked about this, a lot of middle-aged women are like, oh my God, she's so cool and hip. I want to recapture my youth and or shit,
Right.
I wish I was like that when I was in my 30s. Maybe I can, by sheer dint of osmosis, I can reclaim that from my 40s and my 50s, which was my motivation.
How's it going?
Why don't you? No, you were really helpful. I started looking like a soccer mom, in my culottes and wedge sandals and open, I call it the Lido Beach look. The
Yes.
baggy, the baggy tank tops with the shirt over, kind of thing. Open button down, and you came over and you were like, no, and you helped revitalize my wardrobe, and I was really grateful. So.
Okay, so these women meet at this grief retreat.
Right.
They exchange contact information. Jen ends up contacting Judy,
Right.
and the relationship begins to blossom.
Yeah.
They have this really beautiful scene on the beach where they, I think, both let their walls down.
Because they're baked.
Well, that helps. But they're also just completely open and being raw with each other, or so Jen thinks. Then the next scene is Jen finding out about the lie, finding out about the betrayal.
And she was so excited to go and like hook up because it felt really intimate, not in a sexual way, but it was like, oh my God, this person gets me.
Right.
We're going through the same thing. And then boom, go ahead.
So you finally feel seen. I think this is so relatable. You finally feel seen by somebody. You're like, oh my God, they get it. They get me. I don't have to do anything. I can just be myself. And then she finds out that it's based on a lie. And when Jen, the next day, confronts Judy about it, because here comes Jen's anger, here comes her expression, here comes her what the fuckness.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of gathers around Judy because Judy has been the nicer one, the calmer one. Everyone feels bad for her. She's very much the victim, and everyone wants to protect the victim, but she's not the victim in this. And Jen's intuition knows that. And in this scene, you watch Jen get talked out of trusting her intuition. Have you ever done
that? All the time. However, Judy utilizing tears and vulnerability. Do you know I prevented getting fired because I started bawling my eyes out and crying? It's a great weapon to like deflect, which I thought was really cool. But it also mirrored, I think, it was a great metaphor for society and even the whole bigger discussion about mental health. You express first of all, we're taught to push it down, just like you said about Judy. We're taught to push it down. And the minute Jen, who finally trusted herself and then was betrayed, and then the rage where it's like, fuck, I finally got to my feelings. I found the words. I'm expressing myself. I am so fucking pissed that you betrayed me. I get that rage because it just snaps like, it will hit in a millisecond, and you don't have the pause because you're not practiced. You got to like take a breath and pause before throwing verbal punches.
Yes. What is it? Respond, don't react.
You're supposed to pause, take a breath.
Right.
And then dial it back.
Right. Okay, so Jen gets talked out of trusting her intuition. That moment sets off the rest of the season. When Jen says, okay, I must be wrong. I must be completely unaware. I have up is down. I have no center. I'll trust what everyone else is telling me. And there's like good intention with Judy.
Oh yeah.
Obviously. Like she doesn't mean to be an asshole, but she keeps being an asshole in my opinion in certain ways. Then Jen is like, okay, well, I'm going to go all in. And she goes to Judy's ex and says, I'll sell your house. So this is what's crazy to me. When we go back on our intuition and we're like, that must be wrong. And we go full tilt the other direction.
I would have done that.
I
would have totally done that. You know why? Because then it kind of like it justifies why they're there. And also, what I love about Judy is her obsession of finding the truth. She would have been, I mean, she's a detective. I love peeling back the layers and figuring out what motivated somebody to do what they do or what they've done.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't let that go. It's like once I, do you know what I mean?
Hold on, Belinda, we're talking about Dead to Me. So the show is two characters, Judy and Jen, but it's not called Judy and Jen. It's called Dead to Me. It's on Netflix. Sorry,
Belinda,
I'm not clear about that.
That's Jen with 2 N's, and I'm Marla with 1 M. And Jen is the character from Dead to Me, and Judy is the, she's
Other
like
character.
she's the Shirley to Laverne.
But Jen is Jen with 1 N on the show, and that totally tracks, as we talked about last week.
Big distinction.
Okay, another little meta moment that happened in the show. As we started saying, who are you this week? You're a Jen. I'm a Jen Judy. They did that too in the first episode. Do you remember what show they were doing it with?
Yes. Facts of Life.
Yes. I was like, oh shit, look at that. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
and Jen thought she was a Joe.
Right.
Because she's tough. So Jen is aware of her kind of perceived personality type that she puts out into the world. And Judy thought that she was a Tootie, which I totally agree with. It's like, just you're annoying. Just everything you fucking bring to the table is annoying at first. It's so much work with Judy.
And who did you think you were in Facts of Life?
I always wanted to be Blair. When it was on and I was watching it, I was very young and I was just like, I'm gonna be that archetype. I'm gonna always curl my hair and I'm gonna know everything. I'm gonna be bossy. And so I pretty much nailed it.
Do you know who I identified with? Mrs. Garrett.
Did you really identify with that even when you were younger?
I was Mrs. Garrett. I was Mrs. Garrett from the time my mom had my sister and my brother, because I always said I was born an au pair. I was cleaning, I was Mrs. Garrett. And I told you, out of 534 graduating students of Huntington High School, I would say 300 people had sex in my house. I was running a fucking brothel / bed and breakfast, and we'd have kegs. I was having keg parties. My parents took off on the weekends. So
God, we would have partied so hard together.
Big parties.
My mom was always home, so there was no fun being had at my house. Not really. People would stop by and get fed by my mom. That's
sweet.
Because
my
house was right past down the hill from the high school. So my friends would literally leave high school and stop at my house on the way home to my mom was famous for bagel sandwiches. How is my mother not Jewish? I do not understand.
Hey, anyway. You know what I always say? Shake the tree. A Jew will fall out. Shake the tree. I know there's a Jew up there.
Okay, so let's land this plane, as you say.
Oh, wait, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Liz Feldman used one of my favorite expressions on the show.
What?
She had her son, the oldest son, say, "What a twat waffle."
Yes. Yes. And when I heard that, I was like, why is that familiar to me? I was like, do they say it a lot in the show? But thank you for reminding me. I hear it from you all the time. Can I tell you?
And I don't remember hearing it. My friend Janice, who bred Teddy, Janice from Blanca Babies, she used that phrase. And I was like, I am stealing it because I thought it was perfect. It captured you-know-who in my life. So yes. I kudos to Liz for using twat waffle.
Amen. What fantastic writing. Amazing. When you can fit twat waffle into episode 1, you're really onto something.
And her choice of music,
Yes.
to just, I just think the scenes are so quick and they're so real. And it's not like, I love Shonda Rhimes, but the characters all sound alike, but two distinct points of view. And it's really cool to see how they connect.
Two distinct voices for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the episode ends with us seeing another level of the manipulation that Judy has in her pocket.
Yeah.
So, this whole episode is just so brilliant how they present Judy as this, like, she's well-intentioned, but there's something about the niceness. If someone is angry and upfront with me, I'm more likely to trust that person than the person that's always nice and always smiling.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you thinking?
Right.
Tell me something. Have a fucking emotion, please, outside of just, I'm fine. Everything's great.
Can I tell you, I appreciate that, when somebody's that way, but I gotta say, if somebody's like yelling at me, because I always say one finger, you point one finger and 3 point back. That's something I can't stand in myself, that I am so quick, because my dad was a rager and he never apologized. And I feel like I'm always apologizing when I have those feelings, but I don't like being snippy and I don't like to scream. So when somebody's yelling at me because they're annoyed or they don't, it's like I start choking. So I feel like I turn into Judy. And before I've done all this work on myself and become the self-actualized person that I am, I would shove it down with food and ice cream, ice cream and cupcakes. So I'm down to one cupcake as opposed to, a baker's dozen, which is 15 if you're a bagel lover. Yes.
No, it's not. It's 13.
No, it's like 14.
No, a baker's dozen is 13.
Okay, so
viewers, can you back me up on this, please? Am I right on this one thing? This is an old-timey saying, by the way.
Baker's dozen?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like you would be the one to know what a baker's dozen is before me.
It's like 15. And just by the way, I did remember I typed out my little newsletter, and thank you to everybody that hasn't unsubscribed, which of course freaks me out. And Jen told me not to look, but I typed up something and I said, Jen, because this is new to me, can you just like proof it? And she, what she said? Millennials don't do double space anymore. Double space is like writing something on a typewriter.
Yes.
Do you remember?
I sure do. You don't put 2 spaces after a period. This is a PSA for anyone over the age of whenever the fuck you learned to put. It literally was created as a practice for the typewriter, because the typewriter, when it was originally created, the spacing was weird. So they had to create extra space for it to be clear and for the eye to be easily read. That's no longer a problem.
Okay. But then everything is all clumped together. So is that the advent of the ... the 3 dots to separate, thoughts?
That's just an Instagram thing. Okay, anyway, I've been confirmed that a baker's dozen is 13.
Then why did I eat 14 fucking cupcakes?
Well, you're an overachiever.
Overindulger, I think is what it means. So I just want you to know I encountered, I'm a little freaked out. Anyway, I'm not even going to go into that because I talked about it on Facebook Live, but I think I'm finally, after 6.
Wait, Marla, where'd you go? I can't hear you anymore. I don't know what just happened, but your audio completely cut out. Nope, can't hear ya. Can't hear ya. I don't know what happened either. Okay, so I guess the world has silenced Marla. She's going to mime the rest of this as I say goodbye. You guys, subscribe to us on YouTube. That's where the replays will always be. Come back, join us next week. 12 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. And watch along with us on Netflix, Dead to Me. We're going through season 1. Next week, we're going to talk about episode 2. Let us know, are you a Judy or a Jen in the comments? Or maybe a little bit of both. Are you a lying-ass bitch in secret? Or are you a lying-ass bitch up front? I think this is great. I think for the rest of it, we should just do it like this. Okay, bye guys. Bye, 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 bye.